Good evening. Good evening. Patrick here. 8 questions with. Have Cheetah will view. And welcome to the show. Another fun-filled week here at 8 questions with. And we're kicking it off with high style with and talking with the lovely actress Gabrielle Archambault will be here with us in about 15 minutes or so. And super happy about that. Um, Yeah, this is gonna be a lot of fun. She's a very talented actress, and she's also a all around talent. She can sing, she can dance, and as an added bonus, she's also a cat rescuer. That's right. Hey, Jaden, how are you? Glad you're here. Um, so yeah, so there's a lot to talk about with Gabrielle, and we're gonna chop it up with her. She's done some really cool movies, including one I really am excited to talk about called uh, Our House, which looks to be of My House. I'm sorry, My House. I keep on thinking the IFC movie Our House. It's My House, and I'm really looking forward to talking to her about My House because that has a really incredible premise, and I want to sink my teeth into that because especially since it's based on historical figures in Hollywood, including the mighty William Powell, who starred as Nick Charles in the Thin Man series. So we'll be talking to her about that and about a bunch of other things that going on for her. She's got two films that I mentioned. I mentioned like, well, yeah, there was. I did get it right. We'll be talking about the film Savage and My House and her other films as well, and how she stays busy. And her husband also is a film writer, and he's also a director. So we'll be talking about that as well. I'm always excited to see couples in the business together. I think it's sort of cool, to tell you the truth. You got a writers, directors working together. Um, it's a tough business though to stay married in, and you got to root hard for the ones that you like. Because there's so many different factors in making a movie that you know it's better to be a team than not. See, Anthony is now up to 790 subs. So he is only 10 away from that magical 800. And then Anthony will start his last push for 1,000. Once you get up to 800 subs, Anthony, 1,000 comes really quick. There is our moderator for the night, Echo Zero in the house. Welcome, welcome. Hopefully you're feeling better. Uh, that's right. That's right. There he is. There he is. We always got to tag our buddy in when we see him. So we had a good show yesterday on the Midnight Society. That was a lot of fun. We talked about the Jurassic games. That was a lot of fun, and we will be getting into The Shining next Sunday night at 8 o'clock. But will it be headed into enlightenment territory, or will it be a trip to dark territory? I know a lot of people love The Shining, and I know they're going to come out and they're going to voice their opinions on why The Shining is a good movie. Uh, we shall see. Me personally, I'm heading down the dark territory path. I will see though. I have not watched it in 35 years, so maybe I'll be surprised. Maybe I'll just sit there and say, "Wow, this is really cool." Um, in my heart of hearts, I just don't think it's going to happen. But I will try to keep my open mind the best I possibly can. All right, so let's go on with the calendar because May is almost done. I almost got the entire month of May booked. We've added some new talent. Uh, in fact, I only have two dates open. That's all I got. I got two dates open. That's it for May. Everything else is full. Um, so what's going on? You say? All right. Well, let me tell you what's going on. I'm glad you asked. Oh, and feel free to share us out, those who can. Um, Yeah, help us get an audience in here. Any way you guys can. And I am open to you guys in the chat. I am open to any suggestions as far as to promote the show. If you have any suggestions at all, I am here to hear it. I would love to hear what your suggestions are. Um, uh, well, short of ITN and asylum movies, can't do that. Uh, just a joke, just a joke. All right. So tomorrow night, we have our good friend Brene will be here with us, and rumor has it she's bringing a guest star with her. A mysterious guest star will be with her tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Um, and I she'll be here, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun. Brene is a tremendous supporter for many channels. She acts as a mod for many channels. She has her own channel. She is a part-time van lifer, and she goes exploring around. So we'll be talking to her about that. On Wednesday, the 10th, we have singer Ashley Reeves will be here with us from the two bands, Asphyxia and Dallas Cooper. I think she covers both bands, and she's a vocalist, so she'll be here at 8 o'clock to talk music with us. We are talking music with Ashley Reeves on the 10th of May. On the 11th, we are welcoming in Meowtress from Metal Vamp Magazine, and she'll be coming here on the 11th at 8 p.m. And then on the 12th, this coming Friday, we are welcoming in our good friend V from Call Me V, and she will be here, and nothing will ever be the same again on Friday. All right, so we are interviewing her. She interviewed me and the Cheetah. Well, we get her on the 12th. So I'm looking forward to talking to V very much. Like I said, on the 14th, we'll be covering The Shining on the 14th. On the 15th, we are welcoming in Rachel Deshane. We had to change Rachel before we had to reschedule her because she got an opportunity to sing the national anthem and did a wonderful job. I saw the video of it. An amazing voice. Let's see. Oh yes, yeah. Don't want to overwhelm this brain. On the 16th, we have two interviews. We're doing two interviews on Wednesday the 16th, and we're not going across the pond. We're not going across the pond. We are staying here in the United States for two interviews on the 16th. First off, we are welcoming in Rocky Reynolds to come into the show. He has a business up in Montana, and he also is an aspiring actor, and he is a warrior after my own heart. Good guy, tremendous supporter, and so we'll be talking to Rocky Reynolds on 3 p.m. Special start time, 3 p.m. Never starstruck. Only been starstruck 3 times in my career. 3 times have I ever been starstruck. It's three. Yeah, as far as that goes. Yep. And then on the 16th at 8 o'clock, we are welcoming in film director and screenwriter Gabrielle and Anna Height. I hope I'm saying that right. They are the director of Space Wars, The Quest for the Deep Star, and Anna Height is his wife, and she plays Jackie, a leading lady in the movie, which also stars Sarah French, and also stars the lovely Sadie Katz, and also Elise Muller is also in the movie. How about that? And then the 17th, we welcome in the Matt Fasci. I hope I'm saying. Well, I need to see how. Make sure I'm gonna have to see how to say that. I'm not sure if it's Fasci. I think it's Fasci. He'll let me know after he hears me crush his name. He will come and let me know. He runs the Fasci Cinema YouTube channel. Tremendous talent and a supporter in our community. and he knows his business when it comes down to movies. And we will be talking to him on the 17th at 8 p.m. On the 18th, we welcome in Michelle Aragon. Singer Michelle Aragon will be here with us at 8 p.m. on the 18th. And then on the 19th, we have Michelle Lynn Blasky will be here with us at 8 p.m. on the 19th of May. And one other show we should mention about too, we will be welcoming in Julie Michaels in on the 22nd of May. Actually, we have back-to-back powerhouses. We got Julie Michaels will be here with us on the 22nd of May with special co-host Hobbs Hoare. And then on the 23rd, we have musician Todd Strange from the band Crowbar, the new supergroup coming together called I Am. And he will be coming out and talking to us about the new group coming out. They got a deal. They're going to be recording a record. And we'll be talking to Todd Strange on the 23rd. So we got a lot of action here in the month of May, which is a good thing. We definitely gonna have a lot of fun. That's for sure. Let's see. So independent filmmaking. Wow. The writer's strike is still going on. As you know, the writer's strike is still going on. It's so strange to hear that while the writers are still going, the writers are on strike. It's still strange to hear that that's not really affecting independent productions. If you're a member of the unions, you are supporting the Writers Guild of America. If you're part of SAG-AFTRA, but if you're not, if you're still doing just independent films, you are still able to work. You are still able to work and display your craft. I wonder how weird that is. I guess I don't know. We'll have to be one of the questions we ask Gabrielle when she gets here. I mean, actors who don't work on union shows, do they still show union support, or is it just it doesn't affect me? I got to go do what I got to do. Interesting dilemma to find yourself in. Because do you get noticed if you continue to work during the strike? And this strike is really something else. I've been reading into it a little bit more. This one's a real sketchy situation. Not only are the writers trying to get paid fairly, they're actually trying to hold on to their jobs. There's a major concern in the negotiations about artificial intelligence. Basically, the studios can bypass human writers for artificial intelligence scripts. There are apps or programs, I think, that you can literally bring them up, type in a subject, hit a button, and it will write a story for you based on the criteria that you feed it. No screenwriter, no human screenwriter, just artificial intelligence. So imagine, instead of paying somebody paying them what they're worth, plus royalties and whatnot, if you brought up AI, you type in the scenario that you want, the stars that you want, and then you hit a little button and they write a script out for you. Scary stuff, really scary. What's to say it wouldn't happen to actors? Between the CGI and whatnot, could artificial intelligence affect acting in the near future? Maybe 5 or 10 years from now, maybe they don't need human actors. Maybe they just do with artificial intelligence. But we'll see. We'll see. All right, our guest is here. So she's in the basement. So let's go get her and bring her up. And please, once again, it is everywhere. It is, CV, definitely. Feel free to share us out. And I'm going to go ahead and bring our guest up. So please welcome our guest, Gabrielle Archambault. Here we go. Ta-da! Greetings. Greetings. Yeah, we were just loading your plate up.
Oh, amazing.
Oh, yes, we're loading the plate up. We're going like, you know what? We got all these questions. We'll just wait till our guest gets here, then just have her answer every single question.
Ready.
Yeah, well, the first thing we were talking about right before you got on, we were talking about the writer's strike, and before a strike would always happen, it'd be like trying to hold on to your health care, try to get a raise, try to negotiate the royalties and whatnot, between actors and screenwriters, what have you. But now with the writer's strike going on, it's really scary because now AI is playing a big part into it. Um, Whereas now writers are in danger of maybe being replaced. Um, yeah, I was reading about that AI, and you could write your own book. You could go ahead. I guess you bring up the app or the site or whatever. You type in the criteria that you're looking for. You hit a button, and it'll start writing a story for you.
Yeah, I've experimented a little bit with the Chat GPT thing, testing it out, but I don't know. To me, it's not going to replace screenwriters because you can still tell that it's not a person writing it. That there's some sort of disconnect between it knows like how a story's supposed to be, but it doesn't know why. And so a lot of things happen that don't really make sense because it just has sort of a vague idea of what a story is supposed to be like. And I just I don't think that it really replaces people in any way because it's
Well,
also just drawing on already exists. And I don't like it.
no, I don't like it either. I don't. I think what it is too is the first generation too. It's the first. This is the first time it's been out. Now you just know that every year it's only going to get better and better and better. As far as I mean, they already have AI in as far as social media channels. If you
Mhm.
type in some of your reels or some of the reels that she's on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube here, the voices are all AI. You could tell that they're AI. There's no more human voices. So any and then that to me that's like you have let's say we run in the social media site and you want to hire a voiceover actor here to go ahead and run some reels for me and do voice acting for it. Well, now all of a sudden now you don't need that because now they're running AI voices, and so there you go. Their voice actors are now, before maybe it's a small job, maybe it doesn't pay all that or whatever. But the fact of the matter is they've been replaced. Now you're hearing more, and you're hearing it more and more. You're hearing more and more AI. Um,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
I think this is the first line of defense though with the writers. The writers have to make sure how long the contract's going to be and how much control will they have over that. Like to me it's like you have like a three window. We'll negotiate a 3-year contract or 4-year contract. If I'm the writers, I'm not negotiating. I'm negotiating a 10-year deal.
Mhm.
That's because I don't want that around me at all. 3 years is not that long. um Well, let me ask you this question too, is because you work at independent films, right?
Mhm.
Are you a SAG member right now?
I actually am joining SAG next month.
Oh,
Uh,
congratulations!
yeah, thanks. I've been eligible for like 5 years, but there's so many good non-union movies also happening that it's sort of been like, oh, just wait to join until you absolutely have to. So next month I absolutely have to. So, yep, I'll be joining next month.
Um, so before you joined,
Hmm.
now the writers are on strike, and independent productions are still working.
Hmm.
I mean, they're still working. Uh, Do they still work? Do they still continue to do independent films while the act? I mean, if that they're walking the picket line as a independent actors working on independent films. Do you stand in solidarity with them, or do you still do the work until you're like officially in a union?
Well, I know some of the a lot of the non-union productions, they're not part of the strike because the strike is against the producers in the specific, I guess, AM, whatever the abbreviation is. But a lot of the non-union stuff is just independent, regular people who aren't part of what people are striking against. So people are still working for those projects because they're not the type of project that's being impacted by the WGA members or future members, because those contracts are never a part of what's being talked about in terms of like the streamers and the residuals. So yeah, those things are kind of outside the strike context. And I know there's still like some shows shooting and stuff, so but the non-union stuff is like not a part of.
So they continue to work. I mean, they're not really affected by what's going on then.
Yeah, there's like all of the like non-union films that come up every year, like a lot of like Lifetime and stuff like that. They're all still going on because there's no connection to what everyone is striking against. And then just like small projects, I noticed that there's actually been a lot of like short films popping up that seem to be just like people taking advantage of, not necessarily taking advantage, but using the time that is a downtime for bigger projects to kind of make their own little projects just to stay busy, and they're not necessarily part of that either. So yeah, I've been kind of excited to use the time to like visit family, and I know as an actor it's kind of like you're always worried about doing a vacation or like not being available for shows. So I think it's like a good time to kind of do other stuff that maybe we've put on hold while we're, trying to pursue opportunities. And now it's like, oh, I could take that vacation that I haven't gone on because I've never wanted to be booked out because of an opportunity. And now that there's a strike, of course, it's a great time to go and join people and, stand up for the Writers Guild and rights and, no AI. But yeah, and otherwise it's kind of like keep busy with other stuff that you might enjoy doing that you kind of put off because you just like been really career focused.
I know that the union did a pretty good job by talking to other performers. They did a pretty good job as to. I know Crystal Martin had mentioned this to us when she was here, that they had been really, letting people know heads up that the strike is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have any hope that it wouldn't happen. They expected it to happen. And so they told all their members to start getting ready for that. And it might be a longer strike than people expect. So they're telling people to, make sure everything's up to date, make sure you're, if you have, basically, they said, it's almost a weird way to look at it, but make sure you have everything in your house that you need. If you need anything done before that, all your expenses, get those all in line, because this could be a long strike.
Yeah, I've heard it's going to be a while. Unfortunately, the small demands that people were asking for weren't met. So unfortunately, they have no choice but to strike and stand up for themselves. So I've heard maybe as long as September.
That would be something else. Yeah. I just noticed that we have our friend John Oak Dalton is here, and he says, "Keep after it, Gabrielle. Thank you for the shout out for indie productions."
Thank you. Yes, I love indie productions. Just it's really inspiring when you see your friends or people who are just out there. They have an idea and they make it happen. Without a big studio or big money behind them, just saying, hey, I have this idea and I want it to happen, and just doing whatever it takes to to make their dream happen.
I
So
agree. I totally agree with that. You have a really interesting background. Um, your background is very cool. And of course, you're already in our Hall of Fame already, as far as guest goes. Um, and of course, you probably, if you know this, if you look right above you, you'll see the cheetah is right above your head.
yes, I
Um,
see.
uh, uh, so you already know why you're going to be in the Hall of Fame with us anyway, because not only are you a fine actress, a well-rounded actress, you can act, you can sing, you've done theater, you're very talented, but you're also a cat rescuer.
I am. I
That
love
is awesome. That is, yeah, you are after my own heart. I love that. Uh, my Cheetah was a rescue. Um, uh, but before we get into that, I want to go ahead and I love the biography too, because I'm looking at you now and I'm just looking at you and I'm going like, I can see this. I can see this because you in your biography, it's like, I'm the girl next door. I'm sugar and spice, but maybe not so nice. And I'm like, that's not her. She looks so innocent. Um, but it's sort of cool thinking about it. Like, okay, yeah, that's right. Because it's always like that in the movies, right? You always play that, like, oh, here comes the hero, here comes the leading lady or whatever, and here's her best pal. Hey, what's going on? Nothing much. Let's go shopping. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll catch up with you. But then you're over there doing some shenanigans.
Oh yeah.
Um, where were you? Where were you born and raised at?
Yeah, so I was born in Massachusetts, and then I actually lived for 3 years in the Middle East in Saudi Arabia, and then I came back to the U.S. and grew up mostly in New Hampshire. Very rural, small town vibes. You know, sometimes my school bus had to stop and wait for the chickens to cross the road, and uh, lots of cows and horses nearby. Yeah, so definitely had that kind of small town, go around, wander in the woods. Everything looks like a Stephen King novel type. So,
Now, how old were you when you lived in Saudi Arabia?
yeah, I was 3 years old until I was about 6.
So do you remember anything from that experience?
Yeah, I we lived on like a compound, and I really liked it because I was really young, but I could just go outside because I basically couldn't get lost. So like parents could just let their like really little kids just like go run around and go wherever because everyone could like watch them, and um I really liked it. I'm also Middle Eastern, but it's like completely irrelevant to why I lived in Saudi Arabia.
Uh-huh.
Uh, but I think like it wasn't as much of a culture shock like for me as maybe like other people because like my grandparents spoke Arabic, and um, like all the food was the same and stuff. So it was not like super, I guess, different. I mean, it was different, just like living in a compound and different laws and stuff. And my mom like couldn't drive, so that was kind of hard for her. But I liked it because I went to a school where like everyone was from a different country. So it was really cool to grow up with people who all spoke different languages and all were from like different cultures. And there was all kinds of like, different food around and stuff like that. So it was actually like more of a shock to go back to New Hampshire because it was like all very much everyone is kind of from the same background, and that was kind of strange.
Uh, wow. See some people coming in. Hi, John. How are you? Hello, Sarah. And Andre, how are you? Thank you guys for coming in. I appreciate it. Um, you mentioned a Middle Eastern background. Is it okay if I ask where was the Saudi Arabian?
No, actually, my mom is Lebanese heritage, so she's 100% Lebanese. So I'm half Lebanese. Yeah, and we have awesome food.
Yes, yes. Lebanon is beautiful. It's always been that's always been racked by a lot of unrest, and it's terrible because Lebanon is a beautiful country. I mean,
Oh yeah.
have you been there?
Sadly, I have not been there, but I actually really am planning to go in the next few years because I have some friends who live there and they're Lebanese, and of course, like they're like, come and stay, and we can, show you around. I want to get like better at my own Arabic first, so I can have better conversations because it's kind of like very patchy, my
Um,
knowledge. So
yeah, I mean, because when I saw your name, the first thing I thought was you were 100% French, because Gabrielle Archambault, I was like, she's French.
I have
Um,
the Frenchest name, but I'm only a quarter French. So I do
okay.
speak French, but I only because I took it in school.
How many languages do you speak, Gabrielle?
Just English and French and like a little Arabic. I would use like the category inappropriate things your cousins teach you.
Yeah,
Uh, is my
that's about like my Spanish. I can't speak Spanish, but I know all the curse words. Yeah, that's how it always is. The very first thing you learn in language, I don't. What's the first thing you want to learn? Say hello. I need help. Where's the best food? No, just teach me all the bad words.
yeah.
Yeah. Was that the only international trip you took in Saudi Arabia, or have you traveled around the world a little bit?
No, actually, when we would go like back and forth, we would go and visit a lot of different countries, and so I've been to like Portugal, Spain, Italy, France, and then like England. My husband is English, so we actually go to England quite a bit. So I've been like to England and Scotland and Iceland, kind of like tried to do little stops on the way to and from places, and um, Canada.
What a beautiful background. What a wealth of experiences to draw upon to build characters for your roles. I mean, wow, it's yeah, that's a real nice thing to have. I guess what they call it, the actor's toolbox, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. So you were very active when you were younger. You played sports in high school. Now were sports your first love before you got into acting, or was it something that you did as a like you're doing musical theater first, and then you were just doing sports second, or was sports your favorite thing to do when you were younger?
Definitely sports. When I was a kid, I had like undiagnosed ADHD, but I don't know. My parents just discovered that I was a little bit more manageable if I did a lot of sports. So I always really liked to run around, and I had a lot of energy. So I did sports year round. I did soccer and cross country and track and field, and traveled around with an ultimate frisbee team for a while. And I actually didn't even start doing theater until I had like a knee injury and I couldn't really run for the season. I had to go to physical therapy. So then my mom was like, "Oh, well, you should still do something after school." And you really liked when we went to see this play. We saw Jesus Christ Superstar. And so she was like, "Well, why don't you try out for the school musical? Yeah, I think you'd
Okay.
like that." Um, yeah, so I did that, and I didn't even know I could sing. So I was as surprised as they were.
Uh, that had your mom ever acted any acting before herself? That she encouraged you to do it. Has she done any acting on her in her life?
No, she was a teacher, but she always really wanted to do dance and be a dancer, but things didn't work out. But um she just loves to go to the theater and watch shows, and so she took me to see like the national tour of Jesus Christ Superstar, and she was like, "Oh, this will be really fun." And I was like, "Whoa." But I
Mm.
didn't realize that was like those people's job. Like, I just thought they were, like, doing it for fun, so I didn't really,
Oh,
like, know that acting was a job.
well, you found that out.
Yeah,
Um,
I found that out like way later, like at the end of high school, and I was like, wait. you- I met people who did regional theater, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I get paid for this," and I was like, "You get paid for this?"
how much fun is that? Now you hurt you say you said you had a injury when you were playing sports. How what happened to you? What happened to you? How did you hurt yourself?
I just sort of like I had I've kind of like crooked legs, so it was kind of weird. It's because I used to sit in a backwards W when I was a kid, like instead of cross-legged. So I like basically wore my cartilage down like really bad, and my knees were really sore every time I was running. So I had to like go to physical therapy to try to like do different exercises to straighten out my like kneecap. Um,
Oh, wow.
yeah, it was really bizarre, but
Is that when you were when that's happened when you were undergoing therapy? Was that when musical theater and theater in general started becoming more and more attractive to you?
yeah, I did the musical and I was just in the ensemble. I was actually like really a shy kid. I didn't really like to like I don't know have too much attention on me, but I really liked singing. So then when they were like, "Oh, you sing really well," I was like, "Oh, really? I have no idea." So then I thought, "Oh, this is really fun and way more interesting than like running in a circle over and over." And it was kind of a good outlet for my energy, but in a different kind of creative way, like more for my brain than like my still for your body, but less like running 5 miles a day and more just like getting to explore different characters, which I really thought was interesting. When I was a kid, I always wanted to be a writer,
Okay.
and because I was really shy, but I really liked stories, so I used to like write under my desk in school instead of listening to the teacher. So
It happens.
yeah, I then
I used to read Star Trek novels in the back of the class. Yeah, be studying the history, the social studies, and holding the book up like this, and inside I was reading a Star Trek novel. Yeah, I get it.
yeah, so I then was like, oh, I actually really like doing theater, and I tried to do theater and sports for a while, but it started to be kind of a conflict, and I started to take dance class, and a lot of stuff was happening at the same time, so I kind of ended up having to choose, and I decided that I liked theater better than I liked running. And then I just started doing the plays at school year round and was like, oh, I guess I'll go to college for this. That would be
Um,
cool.
what college did you end up going to?
I went to the University of New Hampshire. It's pretty close to where I grew up. And yeah, it was just there. I didn't audition for like a lot of schools. I know a lot of people who like they do all these auditions and stuff, but I was kind of late to the game, so I kind of missed like the window of auditioning for stuff. But yeah, I was happy with it. It was like close to home and got to meet a lot of people for the local theater scene. So in the summer when I was staying at home, I could still do the theater that was like nearby.
Um, well, it's sort of like a prophet, a little bit of foretelling that you went to University of New Hampshire because they're known as the Wildcats. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Uh, uh, now, when did your love for cats start coming into your world? Was that something? Did you have cats as a youngster? Did growing up, or when did you start getting inkling about maybe helping out? Was this something that came later, or was this something that came to you when you were a teenager?
I
Animal.
always really liked cats, and my grandma really liked cats. But I didn't have any pets growing up.
Mm.
But I always really wanted a cat, and then I always was really into animals, and um, I was like vegetarian in high school, and now I'm vegan. But like sometimes our neighbor's cat would come over and hang out with us, and we kind of like she would come and hang out with us in the day, and then she'd go home at night.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So
yeah,
that was
yeah.
cool.
They'll have that, yeah, hang out with you, get the food, get the loving, and then go home and sleep in the bed and come back do it all over again.
Yeah,
Cats are sort of smart that way.
they're very smart. But there wasn't really like a lot of strays. There's not very many strays in New Hampshire, just like for a few reasons. Like there's not a lot of like big city areas. And so, like in the wintertime, if there were any strays, like unfortunately, they probably wouldn't survive. But also, just because of the lower population of people, usually strays happen because like people let their cats out and don't fix them and stuff. But because there's not as many people, there's just not really a lot of stray animals. And a lot of times the New Hampshire shelters actually get animals from other states like bust in to like put in the shelters there because they have like loads of room. So I mean that's kind of a good thing, like they don't have a lot of strays.
Yeah.
But I got really involved with it actually when I moved to LA because with the apartment we were living in, I could see all these stray cats out of my window, and there was this like little old lady who would go and feed them all, and we'd be like, oh yeah, the old lady's out feeding them. And then one day we like met her, and we sort of ended up becoming friends with her and then going around and feeding all these cats. And then I just sort of started, like, I found this one kitten,
Oh,
and I was like, oh, he had like nowhere to go and he was really friendly and really hungry, so I just like took him.
okay.
And then yeah, he was all by himself and his little feet were burned. It was like the heat wave like a few years ago. And so we like got him all taken care of and he got adopted. And then suddenly somebody called me and they had another kitten.
Um,
And then everybody started calling me because they had kittens. So yeah,
I
over
love
the
it.
years, we're like,
Now, did you ever fail foster? Foster fail? Did you ever foster fail?
yeah, our most recent foster was a cat I fed outside for a long time, and I thought he could never really adapt to being inside, but he got sick, so I ended up like basically just picking him up and putting him in my car and taking him home because he needed to get some medical treatment. And then he turned out he loved being inside so much, and he specifically only likes me. He does
Uh-huh.
not like anybody else, and he loves to like sit on my lap and cuddle me, but other people he's like,
Yeah, not so much.
yeah. And then I
Well,
thought,
does he like your husband?
like medium.
Okay, it's not bad.
Yeah, he doesn't sit on his lap really, but he will like let him pet him, but he
My
kind of still says hiss.
uh my wife, they used to drive her nuts because my cat, Derek Cheater, like she would feed him. She would feed her cat and my cat, and every day that would be it. Come for the food or treats. My wife would feed the cats. But at nighttime, we all go over there to watch TV. Her cat was just too skittish, and Derek Jeter would always come and climb up and sleep on my lap, even
Oh,
though I didn't feed him. And she's like, how is it I feed him, and yet he goes and cuddles up with you, and never her, always just me. I said, I don't know. It's a boy thing, I guess. I don't know. Um, so here, New Hampshire, did it have a good drama? Did it have a good acting class? I mean, was it a good school to go to become an actress?
I think it was like fine. Um, I don't want to like throw shade on them, but like it was like medium.
Okay.
I think like if you worked really hard, you could get a lot out of it. And I think like the teachers were pretty good in terms of teaching acting, but there wasn't a lot of knowledge of like the current industry or um like materials on like how to present yourself when you kind of emerged from the school. So I think you learned a lot about the technique of acting and the craft, but you didn't really learn about how to navigate the business or come out with a reel or anything like that. And I think that is kind of hard just because you sort of ended up being behind other people who went to other schools where they could meet people or do a showcase or something like that. And it kind of was hard to play catch up. afterwards.
It's funny you mentioned that about, like not knowing the current status of what to do. It's really weird. It's like I just typed in this in another group. I typed in, it says, how important is press and self and promote and self promote. Do you do press and self promote? And I asked that. I said, how important is it to you? And I just wanted to see what would happen. I was really curious about the answer, and and only one person answered the question. And I mean, as you've been acting now for a little while. I
Mhm.
mean, you're doing shows like this and whatnot. Do you advocate doing shows something like this? Is this important to an actor to do stuff, to do press like this, um, or is it just something you look at as part of the job? Like it's a necessary evil more than a, hey, I get to talk about myself and bring myself to people. Um, do colleges teach that? Do you actually learn how to do press and when you do acting classes at university? Is that
Not
something?
in my school.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely not in my school. And my school was particularly focused on theater. Um, but it definitely didn't have an emphasis on the business. And after being in the industry for like 15 years, I think it's almost like 60-40 business to acting, because you could be like the most incredible actor ever, but if nobody knows anything about you or sees you or who you are, it doesn't really matter, because, well, you're just like acting by yourself to
Yeah,
nothing.
you're
So,
you're toiling you're toiling in obscurity. I mean, you're good, but who's going to know it if you don't get out there and do shows and do press and do interviews. Um,
yeah.
but sometimes it's true. Sometimes I feel like talking to some or reading about, not necessarily here per se, um, but I have read about it, and sometimes the actors, you get the impression that they see this as a necessary evil. It's that they're not really into it, as far as that goes. Maybe because they've been on a few high profile projects and their name has been blared out there, that they can rest easy. But I think right now, as far as Hollywood goes, I don't think it's ever been more competitive than it is right now. I
Yeah.
don't. It is absolutely. It's a dogfight. You have to self audition. You have to do self taping. You have to audition. I mean, before you might be fighting 200 or 300 people for a part. Maybe now you're fighting for 600 or 700 people for a part. It's fierce out there, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, since COVID had like plus sides and downsides, because now it's like, we all do self tapes, so we stay at home and they can see more people for the role. But then, and you don't, and you can, like, I could get a way better job since I just do self tapes now instead of having to make appointments. But then, like, the negative side is that, yeah, there's a lot more competition, because now you don't even really have to be located in LA exactly. You can be competing with people who live like 2, 3, 4 hours away, or even across the country. And because it's a self tape, they can send in a tape for everywhere. So,
That's
yeah,
right.
there's a lot more competition. And you don't get the benefit of kind of being able to network when you go to the audition or be in the room with people to meet people. And so I think it actually makes kind of stuff like this more important, because then really nobody, if you're just sending a self tape, then like nobody really knows who you are. You're just like, maybe I haven't like done enough interviews or been famous enough or whatever to be sick of it or whatever. But
One thing like, let me ask you this question. How many interviews have you done like this in your career so far?
I think like maybe 5.
Yeah, isn't that something else? That's pretty common, Gabrielle. It's like, because I'll sit there and say, how many interviews have you done? And some it's like the first one, and
Mhm.
I'm looking at their line of credits. I'm looking at, wow, she's, like, you've done over 20 projects, and it's like, how does she's only done 5 interviews? It's like, I don't get that. It's like, I know there's people out there wanting to talk. They're looking to people to talk to, how's it doing? Like, it's something that you got to get yourself out there. I mean, that's for sure. But it's almost as I guess getting press is almost as hard as getting a part.
Yeah, it's like got to reach out as much as you do for, submitting yourself for auditions. You kind of have to remember, oh yeah, maybe I should like try to get in an article or, get in, an interview, because I think a lot of artsy people, like, kind of, as much as we seem extroverted from doing performance, we actually kind of are introverted. So we don't necessarily like seek out doing interviews, but I think it's really good to do it, and to, even just like, oh, now I get to meet somebody new and talk to someone nice. Like, that's really cool. So,
Speaking of somebody nice just walked inside our room, and would like to welcome Doreen Archambault into the chat. Hello, Mrs. Archambault. Thank you for letting us talk to your daughter, and thank you for telling her to go into theater. We're very grateful.
hello.
Well, it's so cute. Is your mom a cat person too?
She does like cats. Yes. Whenever she FaceTimes me, we always, of course, she has to talk to the cats as well.
Oh, of course, of course. Um, what was the first? What was since theater was your first thing that you did in your career? What was your first? What was your first musical theater show that you did? Where you said the first one you were a part of the ensemble, but what was the first show that you did where you were the lead, or a featured player?
The first lead I had was Maria in West Side Story. That was my senior year of high school.
How'd you like that?
Yeah, I really liked it. I really liked the part, and like all of her songs, and doing, all of the cool stuff that the character got to do. And um, it's definitely a really challenging role. Like, she goes through a lot in the show.
Yeah.
So I really liked doing the like heavy dramatic stuff. So yeah.
Do you see yourself more as a dramatic actress, or do you see yourself as comedy or rom coms, or what do you see yourself more as?
I definitely feel more interested in dramatic stuff. I definitely like doing comedy, and I like, I've done a lot of improv classes, and I enjoy doing sketch comedy, but I think the stuff I'm the most interested in terms of the characters, is definitely dramatic. So, like, I really like playing the dark characters, or, like, well, like my bio said, like, it seems like the girl next door, but she's got something going on.
I love that. I did when I read that. I'm going like, yeah, that's my kind of character right there. I love that. Like, oh, I'll help you. Oh yeah. Oh, look at that bird over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to think some shenanigans. Um, do you, when you're in acting, when you're in drama, do teachers watch how you act and how you perform? Do they turn around and then tell you afterwards, like, okay, you're taking all the classes, but this is your strength right here? Like when you sit down and you talk one on one with the teacher or whatnot, and did they ever tell you, like, you seem more stronger doing musicals, or you seem more stronger doing dramatics? Do they aim you toward those type of roles when you come out of college or school, that you aim for those parts first, or is it just like come
Mhm.
out blazing, get anything you can do?
I think that at my school, they didn't really try to kind of like steer me too much in any one direction. I I definitely tended to play like a certain kind of character more, but I would say they didn't really pull me aside. But I actually did a coaching like pretty early on with Jason Robert Brown, who wrote the musical Parade that's on Broadway right now. And he actually told me that he thought like drama was stronger for me. So that was pretty helpful, because he was kind of the most experienced person I had worked with. And I went to New York my freshman year during our winter break to do an intensive, and kind of got similar feedback about dramatic performance and my voice type and stuff like that. But not as much in my college.
Hmm.
Yeah, they kind of just were like, do class.
Uh,
Whatever.
when you came out, were you immediately drawn to Los Angeles, or did you try to give New York a run first?
I did live in New York for 3 years. It was a lot closer just because, I drove there and it was kind of an easier move at first. And I had studied musical theater. So I was like, oh, I'll do, New York and do musicals. But I had an acting coach that I saw on the side. And he had told me really early on that he thought I should go to Los Angeles. And I gave New York a try and I didn't really like it. And then I kind of went back and forth like, oh, do I want to start over? So I flew to Los Angeles and I did a workshop for like a week, and I just liked it so much better. I basically just like went home, packed all my stuff, and was like, okay, just left New York and drove to Los Angeles.
Basically, throw your hat in the ring. Um, did you hit the ground running for LA, or did you have to adjust for the culture there? What was the first thing you did at LA in terms of acting? Did you know anybody in Los Angeles? Any other peers that you knew about became acquainted with?
Yeah, I knew quite a few people because I had come out here and taken that class. So I knew about 10 people when I moved here, which I think really helped because we were all kind of at the beginning of our careers and we would shoot little short films and scenes and stuff to have for our reels. And that's how I met my roommate at the time. And so basically just like came here and was like, all right, I'm going to submit for everything, and submitted for everything. And then I had a really hard time in New York, like ever getting seen for an audition because I didn't have an agent for musical theater. But when I moved to Los Angeles, I was actually able to get a musical theater agent right away because there's so much less musical theater performers in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And so I was actually able to audition for Broadway more in Los Angeles.
Oh, it's that weird.
Yeah, because I had a
I
good
have to fly three
representation.
thousand miles. I have to fly 3,000 miles to the audition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I would just go on tape. They had some local auditions for Broadway in Los Angeles too, so I would either send in a tape or I didn't have to like wait in line for like 14 hours and hope to get seen and then get sent home when I'm like 4 people away, which was kind of the New York grind. But yeah, I just sort of was like, yeah, I want to do as much film as I can when I'm in Los Angeles, and did loads of little short films and stuff.
All right. We have our friend Gizmo Renner is here. He says Gabrielle is hot and would be a perfect Giallo screen queen. I'm sure her mom, who's right above you, would probably agree with you about that.
I have a great, yeah, I do a lot of screaming in movies that I'm in. So
Uh, yeah. Our friend Steven says he can see a faulty screen queen in her. Yes, but we're not having her put her eye in a spike. No, we're not doing that. Yeah. Did you grow up? Did you love horror films growing up? What kind of movies did you like watching when you grew up?
I actually was really into period dramas, and I'm still really into them. I actually like have a YouTube channel where I do costuming and I sew costumes for historical time periods. Um, I wasn't really into horror films. I kind of thought they were funny. So I guess I still kind of think they're funny. But
They definitely can be.
yeah, like I watched The Ring and I was like 11 and everybody was really scared, but I just thought it was really funny.
I remember seeing The Exorcist. The first time I saw The Exorcist, I laughed. My mom thought it was something was wrong with me. She says, "Why are you laughing?" I said, "It's not scary to me. It wasn't scary at all." She's like, "You crazy?" I'm like, "No, I'm just not scared." But Phantasm, yeah, that scared me. Yeah, you guys all know about that. Yeah, everybody knows. Everybody's been here long enough. They know that Phantasm. Yeah, that was like the first time I ever got scared in watching a movie. Let's see. Yeah. So period piece, huh? Like Shakespeare, like Shakespeare.
Yeah, like Shakespeare or like Jane Austen stuff. I used to be in a Shakespeare company and I did a lot of Shakespeare.
So
But yeah.
did you like Much Ado About Nothing by Kenneth Branagh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
awesome.
I like his Iago in Othello.
Um, I watched that at a independent theater.
Mm.
Man, I was just like, I was so hooked. I was sitting there, well, like, this is so freaking amazing. They stayed in care. They did nothing but speak, Shakespeare throughout the whole movie. It was just beautiful and magical. And it's like, yeah, I'd like to see more of that. But I didn't like Romeo and Juliet.
Oh,
The modern one. Yeah,
yeah.
the one with Leonardo and Julius. I didn't like that. I liked Much Ado About Nothing. And I even like the remake they did it. They brought it up into modern times, but filmed it in black and white. I like that too. But
Yeah, yeah, I like that one.
and of course, West Side Story is basically Romeo and Juliet,
Hmm.
New York style.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So here you're back in LA.
Mhm.
You started doing some auditions. What was the first thing you booked? Was it a theater part, or was it a movie or TV? What's the first thing that you booked when you moved out to Los Angeles?
Hmm. That's a good question. I'm trying to remember. I think that the first thing I booked was a short film, and I actually think it was funny. I'm not even sure if it's on my IMDb. I don't even know if they ever put it on IMDb, but
What's the name of it?
it was called Lost Bliss,
Let's see.
and it was it was funny. I had to do a lot of improv.
Oh, okay. Now, did you learn how to do improv in New York, or did you do that in Los Angeles?
I started in New York and then I finished out at UCB here in Los Angeles. I actually finished during the pandemic, so my last improv class was on Zoom.
Uh, what makes improv so interesting? Why is improv interesting? I mean, and I mean, it seems like anybody could do it. Like if all of a sudden you and I were sitting here, and someone said threw out a word and said firehouse, and all of a sudden you start breaking out into like where you and I are at a firehouse. It seems to me like that's easy, but it isn't. Why is it isn't why isn't it easy as it seems to be? What do you think? What do you think it is? Do people overthink when they hear the word improv? They start like okay, what do I do? What do I say? How am I going to do this? I mean,
Yeah,
do they overthink it? You think, Gabrielle? Have you ever done that? Have you ever thought about something like that, or does it just flow out of you?
I think that a lot of people there's a couple of reasons why it's hard. One being that you kind of have to be really willing to embarrass yourself, and a lot of people are not super willing to embarrass themselves. And the other reason I think it's hard is that you have to be really good at cooperating with other people and not just trying to like push the idea you thought of and not just trying to shove that in if somebody says something else and now it's something different. It can kind of get derailed if you're like, no, I want to stick to the thing I thought of instead of working with the other people in the scene. You have to be really good at cooperating and kind of going with the flow. So I think those are the two hardest aspects of it, even more than just like thinking of ideas, is just cooperating.
Yeah, you must be. Do you think? Now, here's a strange question for you, but do you think your background as an athlete helped you with your improv? Because athlete, you have to think on your feet, on especially if you're running or playing a team sport. You always have to think ahead a little bit. Do you think that sort of background sort of helps you when you do something like improv? Because improv can be somewhat physical.
I never thought about that, but yeah, I guess so because I feel like I definitely like enjoyed the physical comedy aspect, but also like teamwork. When you're on a soccer team, you have to really be paying attention to what other people are doing and like listening to them, looking at them, not just, trying to keep the ball all to yourself. And that is sort of what improv is. If the scene is the ball, you can't just hog the ball and do whatever you want and disregard all of the other teammates. you have to, keep in mind what your position is. Look at, oh, this person's open and maybe it's better if I pass it to them instead of try to score all the goals myself.
Yeah, yeah. I think improv is probably the. I guess it's the found work. I guess it's the groundwork to do ensemble work.
Mhm.
Like if you could do ensemble work, if you do improv, you could do an ensemble. You can act with a large cast because you're used to that. Improv, you're always thinking on your feet or whatnot. Um, so what was the first film that you did? I mean, you have you ever done any horror films yourself?
Yeah, actually, the first film I ever made was a horror comedy. Because I do think horror is funny. I always tend to write horror comedies or something like really messed up. But the first film I did was called Odette, and it was kind of a spoof on the Swan Lake story, but if she was like a modern day Instagram girl. Um, and that was the first film I ever made on my own. Or I went through like, the whole SAG process. Like we registered it with SAG and everything, which was really difficult. And I had to learn all about the paperwork and all the producing aspects. And it's actually on Amazon, so uh,
Okay.
anyone can watch it. It is called Odette, and uh, yeah, it's just a short, like 20-minute film that I wrote, and it was really exciting to just take an idea and then make it happen. And it definitely like inspired me to think, oh, I can do anything if I like come up with an idea, I could make it.
Yeah, because you mentioned earlier that you really like to write. So did you keep that love of writing throughout your college and through New York? So that was always with you. I mean, you were constantly writing all the way through.
Yeah, I was definitely writing still in college, and actually for my senior piece I wanted to make a film, but my teachers wouldn't approve it because we didn't teach any film class, so they said it didn't reflect what I had learned in my 4 years to make a film. But I had really wanted to write a film for that, and I had kind of written it, but then of course didn't make it because they rejected it. But um, yeah, I continued writing, and I still do a lot of writing, and I've written a bunch of shorts, and we're finishing some of them now, and now I'm sort of more focused on features.
Yeah, everybody wants to. Everybody's here told me they know my stance on that. I'm a huge proponent of short films.
Mhm.
I think a short film is. I love the medium. I do. I've seen so many great short films. I just love them. I'm a big champion of them. Let me catch up with the chat here real quick. You guys are I think they're. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, and yes. Is it rude? Let's see. Our friend Gizmo wants to know if it's rude to ask where Gabriel roots are at. Gizmo's from Norway. Uh,
Ah,
yes, he is from Norway. He is a fine filmmaker. Really good filmmaker, actually. He's made some great movies. And thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. Life is okay. I'm busy. I'm staying busy. Let's see. He just wrapped his last film 5 days ago, so now he's in post production. Look at you. You drew directors here today. That's the second director that's come in today. Let's see. Your mom is talking, telling everybody who you are. Let's see. Everybody's saying hi. We have a country singer in the house, Stephen Keats. He's a country singer. Um, yeah, thank you. No, thank you for coming out. Let me know about your newest film, and then we'll set something up for sure. We'll talk about that. All right. Be careful up there. Um, so now now we're established that you've done some short films. Now you're going to get ready for features.
mhm.
What is there's one movie I wanted to talk to you really about your your catalog, your body of work that really interests me, and that is My House.
Mm.
Tell us a little bit about that, because that you said it's based on a historical story. It's fictionalized. It's a historical fictional story, or is it based on a true story?
Yeah, so that it was supposed to be a play, but then it was COVID, so the writer actually decided to film it and submit it for Edinburgh Fringe Festival that way. So it's a story about all of the, it's sort of historical fiction. It's all of the people who had lived in her house. So her house was built way back in, like, I think the late 20s, early 30s. And a lot of famous people had lived in her house, like Charlie Chaplin and his wife, and the character I play, Yvonne Romaine, who was an actress in the 60s, and her husband, Leslie Bricusse, who he wrote the music to, I think, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the Gene Wilder one.
Okay.
So it's sort of what she imagined the scenes were that took place between these real life people, and what their lives might have been like. And she did a lot of research on them to learn about what their, what was going on in their lives, so she could write these scenes about kind of conflicts that it's mostly couples, and what their conflicts might have been. And it goes through the house, and it's all done almost all in one shot, going through the house and transitioning from different time periods. And it's sort of like her present day character is experiencing the ghosts that are in the house, and those memories of those scenes are like the ghosts. Yeah, so it was really cool to get to play a real person, and I just like happened to kind of look like her.
That
Um,
the premise is really cool, because what caught me was you would think it would have been Carol Lombard would have
mm,
caught my attention, but it wasn't. What really caught my attention about that movie was someone played William Powell.
yes.
And William Powell is one of my very favorites. Uh,
Oh,
yes. Have you ever watched any of his movies, like the Thin Man series?
you know what? I have not watched The Thin Man, but I used to have a DVD set of it, and I never watched it. But I was like a little kid, and I wasn't sure like what the genre was.
Magic. It's so good. Did you watch any of those people's movies that you were in after have you seen were you familiar with their work before you got the part, or were you curious to see what they were about after you did the part?
I didn't watch it before I got the part, but after I got the role, I watched a bunch of her movies, like all the ones I could find, because I wanted to be able to try and do her voice really well. So that was pretty important to me, and kind of see like what she was like, because she's like a very glamorous kind of figure. And it was a different role for me, because usually I'm playing like sweet small town murderer or something.
Yeah,
And
we're getting to that. Trust me.
yeah, and then this character was like very like glamorous, poised, and I got to do a British accent, which I always really enjoy, and wear vintage clothes that was actually from the 60s, which was super cool.
Did you keep any of the costumes?
No, they didn't let me.
Oh, oh man, you should look over there. Look, is that Johnny Depp over there?
I would have liked to keep them.
I
That's
actually
for
I
sure.
hear I've had I've had a few actors comment that they've actually had to use a distraction, like they waited till everybody hit crafty, and then they went back there and got a prop, the last day. A lot of times it was like the producer or the director would be there, and they would just sit there like, okay, we know what you're doing, but you know what, you deserve it. Go ahead and take a memento. Um, is that something that the actors do a lot? Do they do that a lot? Do you find yourself taking at least one memento from all the movies that you've done?
Um, no, I usually don't take stuff, but I'm kind of like a rule follower, so maybe that's why. I
Oh,
don't
well,
really.
let me rephrase that. I mean, I didn't say like steal. I'm just saying, do you ever walked up to the property person department or the producer and say, thank you for being on the film. Is it okay if I take one small memento from the shoot?
Hmm. I guess I haven't really taken anything. I always keep my script. That's usually what I keep, is just I keep all the scripts of the things that I was in, and because it has all my notes and everything. And
Do you have your fellow cast and crew members? Do they sign it?
no,
Hmm.
I guess I'm not as like a sentimental. I don't know.
I was just thinking you could probably, once you hit it big, you can probably eBay that puppy.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. That would be a good idea.
See, yeah, it wasn't as sweet as you thought it was. Yeah, well, yeah. You made it. Go ahead and make a couple of dollars off it. No, no, I would sit there and I would keep it. I would keep it. That'd be fun to have it signed and then have people just keep it for memento. Something that you did before. Um, uh, uh, so how did you get lumped into this? The lumped, I guess, is not. I don't know if that's the right word, but how did you get started getting cast as the girl next door with a meat cleaver in her hand? Yeah, I mean, have you done a lot of those roles? What was the first time that someone cast you? Like, okay, you're gonna be this really sweet character, and then in the third act, we're gonna reveal you to be like hell on wheels. What was the first time that you were cast like that? And were you surprised were you surprised by the part you played?
I think um the first time I think I played a role like that, I did a lot of strange devised theater when I was younger in college. And so I would kind of play that. I guess the first time was when I did a production of Macbeth, and I was playing both the like one of the witches and then or like the one of the regular characters. So I was like the handmaiden to like Lady Macbeth. So I was both like the nice person who's taking care of her and then like secretly evil on the side. And the first time in film, I guess for film, I think it happened because the first role I was ever cast in was this like weird um avant-garde piece. They came to my college and did an audition, and I got cast as this woodland witch that seems really nice and uses this like glowing ball to lure prey. And she seems like she's like a sweet nice creature at first, and then she like transforms into this bird witch thing. And so for a really long time, that was the only thing on my reel. Was like me being an evil bird witch. So
Well, so that opened the door then, right? When people saw that, they're going like, "Wow, she has range," because that's not exactly an easy part to play.
mm,
Being one character and seemingly like especially being like the best friend or the co-worker or whatnot, and then also you find out in the third reel that you're actually the third act that you're actually the evil, the one that's causing everybody to die. It's like, oh, I never saw that coming.
hmm yeah.
Um,
So I think that just like people saw that and they were like, "Oh, she looks nice, but she'd be kind of evil." And then I got cast as another girl who was like a really sweet girl, and then she gets possessed by a demon and she becomes evil. And then I got cast as another person who like seemed like a sweet, cute girl, but then she like might be trying to lure you into a cult. And it's like just over and
Next lives. Oh my God, that's just not. Now, have you had a role yet where you got the guy at the end? Like you got the male and you guys rode off together in the sunset, or is it always end up with you being arrested or have you died on camera yet?
I have. I've died a
Oh,
few times. Yep.
uh-huh.
I died as the bird witch. She died,
Okay.
and she got what was coming to her. And I died. Oh my! batteries for some reason. Oh, there we go. And I died, yeah, quite a few times. Even when I am the murderer, sometimes I also die.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Oh.
I get what's coming to me. They get me, and then I have never played like romantic comedy, like just like the nice romantic interest who like rides off in the sunset with people.
Yeah, it's sort of like I'm trying to think of a person. I'm trying to think of an actress that's sort of gets stuck into those roles where they come across as like one thing and then the other. So like dare I say like Amber Heard or Sharon Stone. They come across as being nice or whatnot, and then at the end they're evil or they're mean or whatnot. Um, do you like do you want to just I mean do you like playing the villainous? I mean, is that something that appeals to you, or would you like to mix it up once in a while and sit there and say, I can actually like be lovable and ride off with the handsome lead. I mean, feel free to do that if you want to.
Yeah, I think I would like to play that character, just to like try it. Um, I do find the characters that are kind of have like the darkness inside more interesting, I think. So I'm more, I guess, drawn to those. And I think also like my like dark hair, pale skin, like I've played a vampire, you know. I think that vibe sort of recently played Lilith, Mother of Demons. I'd like to, maybe I'll like change my look up or something to see if, I can play some more nice character. I would love to try it. I think
How
I
do you
can do it.
Well, how do you prepare for that? How do you prepare to play the best friend gone crazy? I mean, is there any techniques that you use, or any characters, or any people in real life that you would draw upon to create those characters?
I just draw upon me.
Oh, that's scary.
I
That's
just
scary. That's like, yeah, yeah, I can just be myself here.
I
Mhm.
think like everyone has like felt mad or rage, and then you just like make it more intense.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, I think it's just everything that's already inside. I don't find that it like helps to like be, I don't know, oh, I want to be like that person. I just try to be like me, but like more intense in some area. Yeah.
Now, your husband wrote one of your films, Savage, right?
Hmm.
So well, first of all, how did we meet your husband? How did you meet your husband? Was it because he's also in the filmmaking as well. Did you guys meet on a set?
No, we actually met studying Shakespeare in London, and
That's
yeah,
you guys are forever.
yes,
Yeah, that's forever right there. Really? You guys met doing Shakespeare?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
That,
we were actually in different classes, and he saw me singing a song, and he was like, "I want to meet her," and he made our mutual friend introduce us, and we became friends. But we were actually, we couldn't be in the same place for a really long time, so he actually really had to convince me that dating would work separated by 3,000 miles. But then he did convince me, and he was right. So, and now he's written Savage, and I think he is very talented. So maybe I'm biased.
no, I think you're honest. So what is Savage about?
Yeah, so it's a She-Hulk fan film actually, because we wanted to do like a superhero one. But we didn't want to do anyone cliche. It was, but he actually wrote it like before the She-Hulk TV show. Um, but then it's kind of like a film noir She-Hulk,
Okay.
and it has a lot to do with kind of like women's rights and you know taking action, and of course she does become angry. So that is something fun for me to do.
All right, now did you now I know you didn't really horror doesn't really affect you too much, but did you like playing superheroes? Is that something do you like doing science fiction and fantasy and superhero stuff? Is that something that appeals to you or
Oh yeah, I'm like a big like video game nerd, so I'm super into like medieval RPG video games and fantasy. Big Lord of the Rings fan, and yeah, I worked out really hard for like 2 years to get in shape for She-Hulk to try to be really fit and I would love to play a superhero again, but in something big budget where they pay for me to have a trainer. I feel like
um
that's good.
yeah, what's your personal opinion about fan films? Do you mean are fan films something to, are they just something to have fun with? Do you think that it's a viable vehicle because there's a lot of fan films out there, and the perception for fan films now is like it's never been more accepted now than I mean, you do a fan film and it's a serious thing. It's if it's done right, it's amazing.
Yeah,
Um,
I think if you do it really well, it can be a really good way for a lot of people to watch you because a lot of times, we might write a really good short film, but doesn't have anything to do with anything that people are already invested in, so they don't necessarily care about watching it. So you can't really showcase yourself to as broad of an audience as if you're like, oh, hey, I made a She-Hulk fan film, but actually my acting is really good in it, but also it's She-Hulk, so that's like why people are going to watch it.
sure,
So
sure.
yeah, I definitely think there's a really good place for it. Actually, a friend of mine who I've worked with before, he's a DP that shot a film I made called 9 Minutes, and his fan film for Fiona is called Fiona. It's on YouTube, and it got really big. And yeah, people have been really interested in him because they saw this amazing little short. If you like horror, you should definitely check out Fiona because I'm not even in it, but it's really good. Like they did a really good job with it.
I just got done watching a fan film from a filmmaker over in Germany, Francesco Tesoro, and he did a fan film called Friday the 13th, Origin of Evil. I got to tell you, for what it was and what it is, it's an amazing little piece. It's really good, really good. And I'm just sitting there like most horror film, most fan films you think about, because they have no money or anything. You just like you look at it, and you're like you expect nothing. You expect nothing because you're like, what are they going to do? They got $200. But fan films now, I mean, film directors they're going to debt for that stuff. If John from Doomsday Crypt was still with us, he could tell you that because he's had some filmmakers on that they're sitting there going like, yeah, I would have like 20, $30,000 in debt. And the thing about it is, I was like, there's no way to get that money back because you can't profit off a fan film, which
Yeah,
really sucks.
yeah, we definitely spent some money on ours, but if you get seen, it kind of balances out the fact you can't make money off it, but somebody might see you because of the film. Whereas, like, if you made the same length, a short film that's, you know, just a random short film, probably not as many people are going to see it, or you still can't really make much money back off of short films anyway. But yeah, I think it can be worth it just in terms of getting your name out there. And I think a lot of fan films are really good
Hmm.
because it's made by people who are really interested in the thing they're making it about. And it's not about the profit and it's not about studio notes. It's just like people who love this thing that
Yeah,
are making a film because they just really like it.
they really like it, and of course it helps when you get an actor that was legacy actor that's part of it, like a Star Trek or Star Wars. You get one or a couple of actors, and they come in and they throw their weight into it,
Mhm.
and it gives it more credibility. I'm just sort of thinking about how you met your husband through Shakespeare and then end up doing a superhero movie. I'm just like that's a really cool journey, going from point A to point B. Uh, uh, That's a lot of fun, and that is forever though. When you meet your significant other over Shakespeare, yeah, that's some soulmate stuff right there. That's for sure. Uh, so what's next for you, Gabrielle? Well, we know, but we can't say. But what's next after that?
After that, gee, I don't know. I mean, hopefully producing a couple of the features that I'm writing right now, and seeing how that goes. I'm interested in making some projects I can make money off of.
Yeah.
So hopefully that, and also pitching a TV show pilot I've written that's called Amish Vampires in Space. It's based off of the book series. Um, so the book writer and I have fingers crossed for that. Of course, have to wait for the strike to end, but after that, yeah, kind of a lot of waiting for the strike to end and seeing what's going to happen after the thing I can't talk about.
Yeah, I am really hoping the strike ends yesterday because I definitely I'm excited. And are you still doing your cat rescuing?
Well, we actually have kind of paused because we've reached kind of our max capacity. We have 2 cats now. We used to only have 1. But after rescuing 20 kittens, we've kind of decided to pause and spend some time with each other a little bit, because I definitely spent probably like the last 3 years just focused on cats and not a lot of time for.
You know, deep down, you know that's really what drew your husband to you, right? You know that.
He didn't know I was a crazy cat lady then,
There's
but
no such thing as crazy cat ladies. There's no that my our buddy came in earlier. He just I don't know if he's still in the chat or not, but his channel name is called Lazy Cheetah, and it just kills me because it's like there's no such thing as a lazy cheetah. You know, they're yeah. So yeah, you know, I think rescuing animals is a beautiful thing, and I really love that part of your personality and who you are, and so, but you know, like you said, I mean, sometimes you got to take a break. I mean, and you can just come back. I mean, there's always going to be cats that need help, right?
there's
Oh,
always
yeah,
cats.
yeah,
Yeah,
here you
right now I'm kind of focused on Jace, our second cat, our foster fail, because he still has like so many trust issues with people. It's kind of like I'm kind of invested in sort of like making his life really good, because he was suffering for 6 years on the street, and
go.
just kind of making sure that he feels really loved and gets all of the appreciation that he didn't get.
Our friend is still in the chat. He's actually a very fine artist. Lazy Cheetah is still in the house, and he says, "Thanks for the shout out." Yeah, kills me. I see that name, and I'm going like, he can't be. There's no such thing as a lazy cheetah. And then now someone will mention Zootopia, and then I'll just send me over the edge. Hey Kevin, how are you? Glad you're here. Glad you're here. We are almost done with our interview with Gabrielle. I will turn this over right now. Does anybody have any questions to ask our guests? You have any questions that you like to ask Gabrielle before we let her go? Let's see. He partakes, which makes him lazy. I thought that would make him more active after he partakes of that. Yeah, yeah, I know what you're saying, Bones. I think that would make him more active though than lazy. My God, I guess they never seen my cheetah. I have a hybrid. He's part cheetah and he's part British Shorthair. So and he runs. When he runs, he's really fast. I mean, like I can go on one side of the house and shake the cat. Then the feed bag. Man, it's you can hear his claws on the carpet as he's turning the corner. You know how this goes, right? But he's going really. Oh my gosh, he accelerates. It's super. It's really sort of scary, actually. Um, uh, let's see. Let's see. Steven says that he could see you. let's see, Mr. Bones is sitting there saying, "Nah, that makes you chill." Yeah, I guess that would be true. It all depends what strain you're smoking, right? Okay. Lazy Cheetah has a question. God, that kills me. How many takes did you have to do in the Dark Lake at Odette?
How many takes? Ooh.
What's the most takes you've ever had to do in any of your projects?
One time there was a lot of camera issues in a project I was doing, and we had to do like 11. Um,
Mm.
and it was like a very emotional role, so that was a lot. For the lake, I think we did 5 takes. In the film, I'm in a lake. It was very cold, and I only made me go in the lake. So nice writer didn't make other people go in the lake,
Um,
but it was freezing.
I guess next time you know to bring him cookies.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see. Bo says he wants you to change your name to Hyper Cheetah. I like it. Yes, Hyper Cheetah. I like that a lot. You guys are killing me with that cheetah stuff here right now. Uh, yeah. Um, all right. You know what? I'm gonna let you get out of here while I get a chance to before this guys make me start laughing uncontrollably. I want to thank you for coming out and hanging out with us tonight, Gabrielle. I really enjoyed talking to you. I'm very excited for your future. I think the sky's the limit. I think it's gonna be really, really fun to watch. And once the magic happens that we can't talk about, I do hope that toward the end of the year you'll come back and we'll talk about it. And by then you'll be able to, and people will see that. And then how exciting would that be? And I hope that you come back and hang out with us again.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was very fun.
I telling everyone. See, now you got me. See, now they're now they're doing the stew train on me. Do you watch Scream?
I had well, I've seen it, but a long time ago.
Okay, okay. Uh, so do you see the first movie?
Yeah,
Did Stu die or did he live? The guy who had the TV on his head, is he dead or is he alive?
dead.
Yeah. See, Stu is dead. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Because there's a back and forth about is Stu dead or not, and I think he's dead, but some people think he's alive. Who knows, right? All right, boys and girls. We will be back tomorrow night at 8 p.m. with our good friend Fairy Dust, our friend Brene. Fairy Dust weeps the wind. She will be here tomorrow night at 8 p.m. And I do hope that you guys will come. I do hope you guys will come out and keep me entertained as you did tonight. I appreciate you for your support. It means everything to us. And Gabrielle, you stay right where you're at. I'm going to say good night to everybody, and we will see you. We'll see you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Peace.